Let me tell y'all a story that'll have you laughing, cringing, and maybe feeling a little bad for poor Diệu Hân, a single mom just trying to live her life. So it's barely 8 a.m., and guess who shows up at Hân's house? Auntie Koa, the neighborhood's self-appointed Cupid, dragging her son Tho behind her like he's some sort of discount delivery boy. As they get close to the house, Tho suddenly stops, looks at his mom and asks, "Why are we here again?" Auntie Koa grins and says, "To clear your head, you stay cooped up all day, no wonder you're still single. Now hurry up before Tho can protest." Hân pops out of the front door, cheerful as ever. Auntie Koa, "Tho, you came to visit." She beams. Auntie Koa wastes no time. "What are you working on, Hân?" "I'm sharpening the wood that Thang gave me." "Gonna build a fence," Hân replies. "Wait, Thang gave you all that wood?" Auntie Koa gasps, then throws some serious shade at her son. "See that Tho, Thang's a real man. Unlike you, hopeless." Tho just stands there awkward. Hân laughs nervously and invites them inside. But before he can even sit down, Auntie Koa goes full mom mode. "Tho, help her out. Be useful for once. I've never done this kind of stuff before." He grumbles. "Well, now's the time to learn. I'm gonna go play with little Tom." And just like that, she disappears, left with no choice. Tho picks up a plank and tries to carve it terribly. It's painful to watch. Hân rushes over. "You're ruining it? That's not how you do it." Embarrassed, Tho snaps, "Keep your voice down. My mom will hear." Turns out this is the real Tho, sweet sensitive, and also very much not into women. "I don't know what I'm doing," he mutters. "Just leave it to me," Hân says kindly. "Nope. My mom will freak if I don't help." "Just show me how." All right, Hân shows him the proper technique, but he still can't get it right. Eventually, he throws down the tool and huffs, "Forget it. Show me how to pull weeds instead." So off they go to the backyard with hose in hand. Hân starts working, and Tho glances around uneasy. "You've got a lot of weeds. Have you ever seen a snake out here?" "Oh yeah," Hân answers casually. "One time I saw one as thick as my wrist." Then she smirks, pointing behind him. "There's one right behind you?" Tho screams, jumps, full panic. Hân bursts out laughing. "Relax, I'm just messing with you." He's still wide-eyed, scanning the ground. She chuckles. "You look all tough, but you're such a scaredy cat." What a baby. Just when Tho was about to throw in the towel, literally Auntie Koa peeked out from the house and called down. "How's it going down there?" Caught off guard. Tho panicked. He yanked the hoe right out of Hân's hands and started pretending to pull weeds like he was born to do it. He had zero desire to continue, but with Mom watching, he had zero choice. "Oh wow, Tho, you're doing great," Auntie Koa beamed clearly, buying the act. Then she turned to Hân and asked, "By the way, remember that dress I asked Tho to bring over? Did it fit?" Before Hân could get a word in, Tho jumped in. It looked amazing, like something off a runway. "Well, I'm glad," Auntie Koa chuckled. "I was worried it wouldn't fit you properly." Suddenly her phone rang. "All right, you two keep working." "I need to take this call," she said, and headed back inside. As soon as she was out of sight, Tho dropped the hoe like it was on fire. "Nope. I'm done," he muttered, clearly fed up. Hân couldn't help but laugh to herself. The guy flipped like a switch every time his mom was around. Not long after, Auntie Koa rushed back out. "I've gotta go. My boss just sent me a last-minute task." She grabbed her bag and headed for the door. The moment she reappeared, Tho snatched the hoe again and started furiously pretending to work, as if he'd been grinding non-stop. "I'll leave you two to it," she said. "I'll come back and pick Tho up once you're done." Tho looked horrified. "Wait, I'll go with you, Mom." "Let me come too," but Auntie Koa was having none of it. "Nope. You stay and help Han. It's about time you learned some real work. All you do is sit around at home." With that, she was gone, leaving Tho and Han standing there, trying to lighten the mood. Han smiled. "Looks like you're stuck. But hey, you don't have to pull weeds anymore. How about you cook for me instead?" Tho's eyes lit up. "Deal. You do the yard work, I'll chill in the kitchen." He handed over the tools and practically skipped off to the house. Han just shook her head. This guy was a whole character. Dramatic, moody, totally clueless about manual labor, but somehow kind of charming. As she got back to work, she caught herself smiling. Maybe it was his odd sense of humor. Maybe it was how transparent he was when he tried to hide his feelings. Either way, Han couldn't help but enjoy his weird little presence. And then Dan walked in. Out of nowhere, a voice called out from the front yard, "Han, you home?" It was Dan. Han looked up, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Yeah, I'm here, just pulling some weeds." Don stepped through the gate with a relaxed smile. "Thought I'd stop by, see how things are going." But before Han could whisper me in, another voice boomed from inside the house. "Oh my God, Dan, what are you doing here?" Tho came rushing down like a high schooler spotting their crush at prom. He nudged Han aside playfully and lit up like a light bulb. "It's been forever, I missed you." Dan chuckled. "You just got back from Saigon, right?" "It's been a while?" Tho nodded excitedly. "Yeah, I just came back." And then, with zero warning, he gave Dan a cheeky slap on the butt. Dan flinched and looked around awkwardly. "Hey, what are you doing? Han's right there." Tho just grinned. "Let her be. She's fine." Then, without even asking, Tho grabbed Dan's hand and led him over to sit under the shade. "Let's talk, I haven't seen you in ages." "Why didn't you call me?" "I missed you." Dan gave a half smile, the kind that says, "This is a lot," but stayed seated. "Have you talked to your mom yet about who you really are? You can't hide forever." That hit a nerve. Tho paused for a moment, face softening. "I know. I'll tell her. Just not yet." Then he quickly brushed it off with a pat on Dan's shoulder. "Anyway, I'll let you help Han. She's probably drowning in weeds." Dan stood up and made his way over to Han, who was still half watching from the corner of her eye, amused by the whole thing. "Thanks," she said with a smile as he knelt down beside her. "Could use an extra hand." "No problem," Dan replied, already digging into the dirt. As they worked, Han couldn't help but ask, "So, how do you know?" Tho Dan smiled knowingly. "He's Auntie Koa's son. I'm around their place a lot, so yeah, we've known each other for a while." Han nodded, piecing things together. That explained the weird chemistry, the not-so-subtle tension, and the way Tho acted like Dan was the last person on Earth. Just then, Tho came back out, clearly having taken a moment to freshen up shirt. Tucked hair combed, even sprayed a little something by the smell of it. He didn't say anything at first, just casually strolled up and spotted the hoe in Han's hands. "I got it," he said, grabbing it from her like a TV hero swooping in. "Let me do it." Classic Tho, dramatic, unpredictable, and hilariously extra. But somehow, it worked. And Han couldn't help but smile. Beneath all that sass, there was a kind of charm you couldn't fake, no matter how hard you tried. Tho stood there for a moment, giving Dan a once-over before grinning. "Dang, you're really good looking," he said. "Those muscles. Come on now." That was just Tho's style, playful, unfiltered, and somehow always charming. Dan chuckled a soft, humble kind of laugh. He could tell the compliment, while cheeky came from a sincere place. Han watched the two of them banter, her expression unreadable. A strange feeling bubbled up inside her, something between amusement, confusion, and curiosity. She couldn't deny it. Both men in their own way brought a different kind of energy into her life. Tho was hot-headed, unpredictable, and a total goofball, but he was genuine. He cared even if he had a weird way of showing it. Don, on the other hand, was calm, quiet, always there when you needed help, and never expecting anything in return. Back in the garden, Tho wasn't done teasing. "Look at you," he said to Dan. "All that strength and no flex. Not even a little." Dan just smiled again, not taking the bait. Then, with a mischievous glint in his eye, Tho turned to Han. "Seriously though, what's so special about Han? Why'd you fall for her?" Don laughed softly and replied, "You might not see it, but she's kind. She works hard. She's got heart." "Oh wow, must be nice." Tho smirked. Girl surrounded by handsome men. She living the dream. Then he leaned in, eyes narrowing playfully. "But really, why Han and not me?" Dan shook his head, laughing. "If I liked you, your parents would shave my head and disown me." That sent both of them into a fit of laughter, the kind that fills the air but doesn't quite erase the weight beneath it. Still grinning, Tho said, "Give it time. My parents will come around. But seriously, Han's already got a kid, a whole family. What are you doing falling for a woman like that?" Suddenly Da fell silent. His face tightened just a little. "That's my business," he said calmly. "And maybe you should stay out of it." Then he turned back to the weeds and started working his movements slower but more deliberate. Han, sensing the shift in mood, quietly picked up her tools again. She didn't want the conversation to go further. Not like this. Dan didn't say much after that, just focused on helping. Still present, still steady. And maybe in that quiet, he was saying more than words ever could. Han glanced at him briefly. She still wasn't sure how deep his feelings ran, but she was starting to believe they were real. No games, no expectations, just genuine care. But of course, peace never lasts long in stories like these. Next time, someone unexpected will show up. His name, Theond, the mysterious man behind that pile of fence wood. And his return might just change everything. What happens when a new player enters a delicate balance between a single mom and two very different men? Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what happens next.
Hân cảm nhận được sự thay đổi trong tâm trạng, lặng lẽ cầm lấy dụng cụ của mình một lần nữa. Cô không muốn cuộc trò chuyện đi xa hơn, không phải như thế này. Danh nói nhiều, sau đó tập trung vào việc giúp đỡ, vẫn hiện diện, vẫn bình tĩnh. Và có lẽ trong sự im lặng đó, anh đã nói nhiều hơn những gì lời nói có thể nói. Hân liếc nhìn anh. Một lúc, cô vẫn không chắc tình cảm của anh sâu sắc đến mức nào, nhưng cô bắt đầu tin rằng chúng là thật. Không có trò chơi, không có kỳ vọng, chỉ là sự quan tâm chân thành. Nhưng tất nhiên, hòa bình không bao giờ có dài lâu trong những câu chuyện như thế này. Lần tới, một người bất ngờ sẽ xuất hiện. Tên anh ta là gì? Thành một người đàn ông bí ẩn đằng sau đống gỗ. Giàu đó và sự trở lại của anh ấy có thể thay đổi mọi thứ. Điều gì sẽ xảy ra? một người mới bước vào, thế cân bằng mong manh giữa một bà mẹ đơn thân và hai người đàn ông rất khác biệt. Hãy theo dõi, bạn sẽ không muốn bỏ lỡ những gì xảy ra tiếp theo.